So real quick, first of all, thank you to Family First Life and everybody who put the event together. It's awesome to be able to share with you guys. I'm going to tell you a quick story and then share some points with you. So you could probably imagine looking at me. I did play football once upon a time. In 2000, I went to Bowling Green State University with big goals, both individually and as a team. We worked really hard, and the result was a 2-9 start. 2-9 my freshman year, was ready to quit football, transferred back home to Ohio State, and finished school, lived with my girlfriend then, wife now. But then we had something great happen. Urban Meyer became the head coach at Bowling Green State University, and I said, I might as well give it a shot. So I stuck around. Here's a couple things that he gave to us immediately that allowed us to turn the program around overnight. He gave us structure, he gave us discipline, he gave us belief, he gave us accountability. Okay, the result of that was we went 8-3 the next year. He was like the turnaround coach of the year. We went 9-3 the year after that, 11-3 the year after that. Heisman Trophy came, all the things, right? The best thing that he had to his exposure was we were good football players, but we were a bad team. Good football players, but a bad team. So when he did the structure, when he put structure together, idea is not a structure, right? Intent is not structure. You know, we were a bunch of people that were always about to do something as opposed to actually doing something. Discipline. This discipline was in spite of everything, in spite of your feelings, in spite of your circumstances. Belief. I can remember, I could tell stories and stories, I'm not going to, but his belief in the players was stronger than our belief in ourselves until it wasn't the case. So it's okay if a person believes in you more. The person who brought you into the business, suggested that you get your license, the person that's working with you on a day-to-day basis, it's okay that they believe more than you today. That can't stay the same. Accountability. There's very few people that achieve greatness on their own, right? Very few. So don't be afraid to let somebody hold you accountable. If you're around great people and great leadership, they absolutely will hold you accountable. 3 things that you can do to scale your business from day one. Ready? All right, so be the agent that you want to work with. Be the agent that you want to work with. Show it and tell it. Don't just tell it, right? Show it and tell it. Don't just tell it. I think Desiree said this earlier. Write the business and tell the story, right? That relates to posting on social media and all the things. Practice, practice, practice. It costs you absolutely nothing to practice, right? You're making calls all day. You work all day. We hear people talk about 12 and 14 hours. Then you go home and you don't pick it back up until you get back on the phones again. That is a big mistake. Practice, practice, practice. And then develop your mind for the long haul. You need endurance, you need stamina to win at this deal. You need consistency, and you need toughness. Calvin, what else?
What's going on, guys? My name is Calvin Wright. For you guys that know, I was in the military. Real quick, thank you, Grady, for putting this on. This is an absolute amazing turnout. Give him a round of applause. Freaking awesome. Now, at the same time, for everybody that has been in the military, is in the military, whatever branch, just stand up real quick, give them a round of applause. Thank you for everything you do. We appreciate all you guys. Couldn't be here without you. Now, one thing that I think is super important, especially as a brand new agent, agency owner, builder, is that there's a couple key things that gets this machine moving and gets you, and it's always the same. It never changes how big you get, no matter how small you are. It's the same over and over and over again. And that's discipline, right? So in the military, that's the first thing that you learn, discipline. If you did athletics, that's the first thing you learn, discipline. Show up to practice on time. Be early. Don't be the last guy in the room. Like simple stuff like that. Even if you're studying something, you don't wait till last minute to be able to do that and prepare. Business is the same exact thing. You prepare day in and day out, and it's a slow and steady build. Rome wasn't built overnight, neither was majority of the business. You guys all saw Family First Life numbers up here. It wasn't 800 million year 2. It was a slow build that built a rock-solid foundation. And in business, especially if you're, a brand new agent doing 10K a week or 10K a month, and you get to 40K a month, and then you start building your team to 150, and then 300, and then 500, so on and so forth. You slowly build a very strong foundation, and you avoid the roller coaster of the business. And it gets a lot easier when you get over 150 into 500 because then you have multiple people on your team, managers, producers, high-level leaders that are helping you grow this thing. And it gets a lot easier because they're recruiting 5 people a day, 10 people a week. You're recruiting 10 people a week. The guy next to you is recruiting 10 people a week. It's a snowball effect. So in the beginning, yes, it's going to feel tough. It should feel a little bit tough. If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? So just remember that when you're doing your daily disciplines. And what I would encourage you, if you're near an office, it doesn't matter if it's your team. It doesn't matter whoever, if you don't know the person, just show up and they're there to help you. We're a one big team here, and if you're close to somebody else, I guarantee you if you walk in that office, that person, that manager, that vice president, whatever, they'll be there to help you and they'll get you in the right direction. So that's huge. I would start there. Now, real quick, a couple of things that I was thinking about from my military career, which we just touched on, was discipline. Now, the next thing is leadership and adaptability. I started in this business when we were running in-homes, and in the beginning, Zach would always be like, hey, do this, and do that, and I would always do those things, which would be like 400 calls, track your dials, all this kind of stuff to be able to get feedback. And what a lot of time happened is, has anybody ever heard of windshield time in this room? In the beginning, before we became virtual, which is going to be the next thing I talk about, is you would always call people that maybe were the same level at in business, same producer level, same agency growth, and then you would call and you complain and bitch and moan and blah, 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 right? Well, that's the number one thing that's going to hold you back. And when I realized that, I stopped calling the same people that were at the same level in business with me, and I would only talk to people that were doing better than me so I could get actual, tangible, actionable advice to be able to grow my business, grow my team, and lead from the front. And it's easy to lead from the front when you're producing at a high level, which starts with tracking your dials. Know how many people you talk to per day. Know how many presentations you do. Track your number of closes, your annual premium. Like, there's only a few levers in this business that you can pull to make sure you're being successful. And it starts with tracking your dials. So if you track your dials and you come to me and say, hey, Calvin, I didn't close anything today. I'm going to ask you, how many people did you talk to? How many presentations did you do? How many people did you show numbers to? And no matter what, I'll have an answer for you based on what's going wrong or going good. Because if you only came to me and you said, I did 200 dials, Calvin, the leads suck, I'm going to be like, dude, you called for 2 hours and you gave up. What did you do for the rest of the 8 hours, right? If you come to me and you say, hey, Calvin, I talked to 20 people, I did presentations on 2, and I closed 1, I'll be like, okay, great, we probably just need to adjust something inside your script. And if you come to me and say, hey, Calvin, I dialed my 30 leads for the week, and I didn't close anything, I'm going to be like, when was the last time you bought a real amount of leads, right? There's only a couple things you can fix. It's either activity, your lead flow, or your schedule, and that's really your key to success here, guys. If you can dial those few things in, the sky's the limit. There is no limit. And if you're going to your manager and you're asking for advice and they're not really giving you anything, it's probably because you're not doing the right activity to get them to help you yet. You know what I mean? So I'm sure there's been somebody in the room that's probably gone through that. And that ties right back into adaptability. And it starts with the in-home, now we're virtual, then it went to IUL. So things are always going to change in business just like they do in life. And if you're the type of person that's the last to adapt, you're going to be the one that's furthest behind. There's going to be a new lead type, I promise. There's going to be a new fancy thing that comes out. So if you're the first to get to the table and learn it, it's going to help you a lot in this business because things will change just like they do in life. You're going to move. They're going to someone's going to quit. You're going to hire a new person. There's going to be different things you have to overcome. But if you're always complaining and saying, well, this went wrong, or we're changing this, and that happens a ton in the military. And for those people that stand up, you probably know that person that was in the military that complained about something, right? But the one thing you can control, and we can all control in this room, is I can be on time. I can track my dials. I can be adaptable. I can go to my manager to get feedback so I can get better. And then I'll leave you guys with this. When I first got into the business, and you can easily do this, you can implement this today, is that I didn't wait for anybody to tell me to go watch this video on YouTube. I would go and I would learn stuff online, which is free, and they run weekly calls, builders call, SRS call on Thursday, you'll have a team call, you'll tap into all the different calls throughout the company, which I'm sure there's one every single day, and you can learn by just being there and absorbing the information and reapplying it and then going back and looping into your dials. That is all I have, guys. I appreciate you all. I hope everybody gets a bunch out of this.